Hi, Justin here from Combative Edge Martial Arts, and today I'm going to talk to you and also in future videos how I went from no students to having 2 schools and building up my 3rd school. Well, actually, I'm going to be starting my 3rd school. And what I would like to do when that time comes, now just granted it's not going to be anytime soon, but hopefully sooner than later, is that I want to take you guys on the process of how I open my school. Okay? But anyways, before we get to that point, let's backtrack it and let's understand the things that are necessary in order for you to open up your own business. Now, you may ask yourself, well, Justin, what kind of a business should I open? And I feel that the best way to answer that question is to answer the labor of love question. What do you love to do? And what do you love to do that you would do for free and wouldn't even bother getting paid, but because you love to do it? That right there is probably the best place to start. Now you may ask yourself, well, I don't know what I love to do. Well, then you got to ask yourself questions like, what makes you cry? What makes you happy? What makes you laugh? What makes you upset? What gets you excited? What gets you motivated? Those are aspects that will help you decide on where to go with your business, on where to run with your business, if you want to open up a business. Okay? So these are things that you need to think about. For me, it's the martial arts, and I'll be talking to you through business through the martial arts, but you're going to understand that you can pretty much apply all of this to almost any kind of business. Okay? Now, the next thing that you have to learn how to do is you have to actually learn how to run a business. And this is where someone else has to come into play. Now, I worked for my old instructor for 10 years. 10 years I worked for my old instructor, and I didn't get paid. I did this for free. Now, again, this is the labor of love that I would love to do. I did it for free. I trained for free. I trained. I worked for free, the whole 9 yards. Granted, I didn't pay tuition. He said don't pay tuition, so I didn't pay for tuition. So I guess you could say it's more like a barter thing. I train for free, but I also am working. So it's, and how you look at it, a lot of people were telling me that he was using you and using me rather and all that good stuff. And in my head, I was getting more out of it. Why? Because I was learning how to build a business. I was learning how to run a business. And this is why you need to work in a business of your choosing, right? And obviously, this is a business of what you would want to open on your own, whatever that may be, a martial arts school, a convenience, whatever it may be. Your labor of love, your choice, whatever that labor of love is that you would do for free, you need to then go and work in a business of that choice, of that labor of love. Then you start to get that experience. Now, a lot of people will say what they may say about working for free and not getting paid. And 9 out of 10 times, they're probably right. Should I have gotten paid? Yes. Should you work for free? No. In today's day and age, when everything is so expensive, all that wonderful stuff, true. But it doesn't always work out that way. And the question is, when it doesn't work out that way for you, like it didn't work out for me, what are you going to do? Are you going to let that stop you? Or are you going to keep pushing forward and grinding away to learn the tools and the skills necessary so you can one day run your own business? You got to pay your dues. Getting something for nothing doesn't exist. And a lot of people today believe that, which is way wrong. I had to pay my dues. I paid my dues for 10 years. And guess what? I've been in business now for 11 years, going on 12 years. I'm still paying my dues. And I think you'll always have to pay your dues. And the more success you get, the more dues you have to pay. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. So you have to understand what you're getting yourself into when you want to think about opening up a business. Because these are things that are very important. You got to learn the business. You got to learn the ups and downs. And when you're learning the business, you're learning how to troubleshoot so that you can get yourself out of pickles that will come and find you. And you know what? There'll be times when you have an entire week full of pickles. For example, COVID, right? When COVID hit, there was one time, I forget, it was in 2021, I forget what it was. I lost 40 students in 1 week. Talk about some hard times. I lost close to 40 students in 1 week because at that time, COVID, the spike went up again, and people were losing jobs, and and layoffs were happening left and right and whatnot. But these are things that were happening, and you know what saved me? Working at the church when I had no students, and I was starting to build up my business with no students. That retention and building a program with only a few students and sticking it out. That process, which we will discuss, will be what saved me during a time where when COVID hit, I had success up the wazoo. I had my first school. We were raging, and we were out of control, and we were having a grand old time, and everything was awesome. COVID hit, the world goes down, we're all inside, right? We're doing the virtual thing, and we finally get back. We're doing online and in-house training, reduced capacity training, and I'll never forget that Christmas. It was that December 2021, where I lost 40 students at one shot in 1 week. And that was just crippling. You have to learn how to troubleshoot through stuff like that. And that is exhausting and physically and emotionally exhausting. But more importantly, you got to have that courage to keep pushing through, and that hope and that confidence and that, understanding that the business will always go up and down, like the stock market, like anything else. And granted, when you're going up and down, you want to be on an upward trend, right? You don't want to be going like this. That means you're going out of business. If you go up and down, you want to be going up. But it always goes up and down. And that I was able to fight through that and recover and keep going. So I can honestly say that a lot of my business that I've learned, my strategies, my skills, my ability to run a successful business came from fighting, surviving, and expanding. And expansion. I expanded in COVID. Expanding, right? So this all has to do with, this ties back to what? This ties back to working for somebody else, learning the business, learning how to troubleshoot, all that stuff, and then finally getting the courage to open up my own school. And we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about my travels, on how I did everything, and we'll talk about the business, so forth and so on. But this was the beginning. This was the very beginning, and this can be the beginning for you as well. Okay, but understand, you need to have a labor of love. That's a great way to start, to know, like, if you want to go into business, what do you want to go into business with? Labor of love, to know, like, whoa, I love camping, I love rucking, I love kayaking, I love, I love working in a convenience store, whatever it may be. Find a business and start working in that labor of love. However, if you don't know what your labor of love and you're like, I don't know, then think about questions like, what makes you cry? What gets you upset? What gets you angry? What gets you motivated? What gets you excited? What gets you furious? What moves you? Are there things, what problems, if you could solve, if you have all the money in the world, what problem would you want to solve? And then go there and look into that question and those answers. And you will start to find out where you want to go. That's what I did. Okay? Justin here from Combative Edge Martial Arts, and have yourselves a good one. And we'll see you next time on right here, and we'll talk more about business. Bye-bye.